Welcome to the Robbins Regional Wrap, your one-stop shop for all your Houston County news. I'm Megan Western. Now, each week we're taking you through what's happening in Houston County, Warner Robins, Robbins Air Force Base, and your neighborhood. And right now, police are looking for possible suspects in a Saturday morning Perry shooting. Perry police say a party in the 1300 block of Houston Street turned violent, leaving one person injured. They say it happened just before 4:30 in the morning. Now, at this time, we don't know the status or the age of the victim, and police don't know how many shooters are responsible. But if you have any information, you can call the Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-877-68-CRIME. An Houston County man learned his sentence for a brutal crime committed 15 years ago. The district attorney's office says at 17 years old, Dendrick Solomon broke into a home and then beat and raped a woman. He pled guilty and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Jasmine Lee sat down with the lead investigator on this case and tells us how they finally closed it.
For 13 years, a brutal rape crime in Houston County went unsolved, with one crucial piece of the puzzle missing.
Samples of a subject's DNA that was not our victim's.
All investigators were missing was the suspect, Dendrick Solomon. Lieutenant Justin Clark says Solomon lived only a few minutes away from the victim, but the two were strangers. The Houston County District Attorney's Office says in 2010, he broke into her home and beat her after she attempted to fight him off.
Detective Man did multiple interviews with the victim, people in the area, neighbors, canvassing, things like that, and the crime scene was processed fully.
Solomon had fled the scene and authorities couldn't identify a suspect. Clark said that investigators swabbed the victim's fingernails for DNA, but since Solomon's DNA wasn't in the system, the case went cold for 13 years.
There were no matches. Until
2023, Solomon was convicted with a drug felony, which led to the GBI finding a match in the CODIS database.
With CODIS, it typically goes in when either somebody goes to prison or if they're convicted of a felony and they get probation, then their DNA gets swabbed and it gets entered in CODIS.
And after further testing, District Attorney Eric Edwards said it was a hit. Officials then asked for more DNA samples to confirm the match.
So to be able to bring closure on any percentage of those kinds of cases, there's no feeling like it from a prosecutor's perspective.
Edwards says solving cases like these are tough unless the suspect has been arrested and their DNA is already in the system.
Now having formed a suspect gets a search warrant searching for Dendrick Solomon's DNA because you always want to not just rely on just the CODIS hit, but then run an independent analysis as well.
After admitting to the crime, Solomon was sentenced to life in prison, but the judge left open the opportunity for parole. Reporting in Houston County, Jasmine Lee, 13 WMAZ News.
Now, Edwards says the district attorney's office will never stop fighting for survivors of sexual assault, no matter how much time has passed. And take a look at this massive sinkhole that popped up in Warner Robins this week. It shut down a portion of Highway 96 for a few days, but all is back to normal now. Warner Robins City Clerk Mandy Stella says it reopened Thursday afternoon. The sinkhole closed the highway between Robert Bryson Smith Parkway and County Road east of Moody Road. Now, we still don't know much about how the sinkhole formed. And after waiting 2 months for trash pickup, an 80-year-old Bon Air woman gave us a call out of desperation. Hunter King shows us how Annie Lester finally got some results.
Annie Lester lives alone in her Bon Air home now. The 80-year-old widow says her late husband, Fred, used to take out the trash.
It's not like I don't pay my bills. I pay my bills each month on the due date that it's due.
But she says Waste Management didn't pick up her trash for nearly 2 months.
I haven't had my garbage trash picked up since the end of January.
Lester uses a cane to walk, so she pays extra for backyard pickup service. Someone should move her trash can to the curb every Wednesday. She says she doesn't produce much trash, but the 95-gallon can is finally reaching its limit. So Lester called everyone she could think of.
The Houston County Sanitation, I spoke with Miss Tina. And in Waste Management, I just got a voicemail.
So the trash piled up.
It's overflowing now. I can't close the lid.
But then a breakthrough. After I called Waste Management this morning, we were able to get Miss Annie some help. In fact, as we were out here interviewing her for this story, they came and picked up her trash. Waste Management sent a crew of 2 out to the quiet neighborhood. Problem solved. Now, Lester hopes her story prevents others from facing the same problem.
Make sure the people that they hire or work for them do their job. That's all I'm asking, people to do their job.
Reporting in Houston County, Hunter King, 13 WMAZ News.
Definitely glad that she was able to get some help. Waste Management sent us a statement saying they value their partnership with Houston County customers and they address this issue. Houston County will switch from Waste Management to Ryland beginning July 1st. Now, if you have any service issues, you can contact Houston County Public Works. Their number is on your screen right now, 478-987-4280. And if you are on Waste Management, their number for help is 478-987-4299. And nearly 200 people gathered at Fellowship Bible Baptist Church in Warner Robins this week for an opioid awareness assembly. Local leaders came together to shed light on the increasing threat of drugs being laced with fentanyl. Jasmine Lee tells us more about the ongoing issue.
It was a community gathering as local leaders sounded the alarm on drugs impacting Central Georgia.
We definitely are seeing everything mixed with fentanyl, including marijuana.
Among those speaking was Houston County Sheriff Matt Moulton, who talked about the city's ongoing efforts to combat drugs being laced with fentanyl. And their first step is to start with the kids.
Getting this type of program started, we're going to go into the schools because the kids they're our future. That's who needs to hear this. That's who needs to see what we're dealing with.
According to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, opioid overdoses have been climbing in Georgia. In 2023, there were over 2,000 overdose deaths in the state, and local law enforcement is seeing the impact firsthand.
We have had methamphetamine, cocaine that's been laced with fentanyl, mixed with it.
Parents and kids actively engage, showing their support by asking insightful questions.
He heard candy and drugs, and he wants to know what is a drug, so from a child's perspective.
As the opioid crisis continues to threaten communities across the state, local leaders say events like this serve as an important reminder that education and awareness can help prevent the next tragedy. Reporting in Warner Robins, Jasmine Lee, 13 WMAZ News.
Now, as you heard Jasmine say, local leaders do plan to continue on with these meetings, although they did not say when their next one is. They do urge everyone to come out. Also in Warner Robins this week, they got an update on the city endeavors. Mayor LaRhonda Patrick's second annual address highlighted growth and improvements in the International City. The mayor touted several accomplishments from the past year while announcing plans for the future. Hunter King was there and recaps the mayor's message.
Mayor LaRhonda Patrick's speech began by highlighting key accomplishments during her administration, like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial announced in January. That project's been in the works since 2011.
I had a grandfather who went to Vietnam. He's still living. Some of his friends didn't make it back. Their names will be on that wall.
On the topic of military, the mayor also touched on the possible job cuts at Robins Air Force Base.
We're praying with them through this season, and hoping the best and trying to do our part to help make things better. If things do take a turn where we're feeling a huge economic impact in a negative way in our community. But we just hope and pray that that won't happen here and Robins will continue to thrive.
Patrick says the city has grown to 84,000 people and crime rates have dropped nearly 19% from last year.
Our criminal surveillance system has been very beneficial. It's helping to expand our reach. And allow us to see things and resolve crimes more quickly.
The police department has 43 new officers over the past 3 years, while the city has cut its millage rate.
Being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars is always at the forefront of everything that we do. Every decision that we make, we always want to think about the constituents first.
Patrick concluded by announcing that for the first time in years, the city filed all of its audits on time while also clearing 2 audits that predated her administration. Reporting in Warner Robins, Hunter King, 13 WMAZ News.
Now, Mayor Patrick also announced she's running for re-election this fall. Houston County Commission Chairman Dan Perdue, who attended the address, praised the mayor, saying, quote, "She endeavors to do what she says she's going to do." And in her State of the City address, Mayor Patrick said the city's hired 43 new police officers during her administration. We've told you about staffing shortages for years. So is the department actually growing under Mayor Patrick? Well, Hunter King verifies if Warner Robins Police Department has made real progress under the mayor's leadership.
Mayor LaRhonda Patrick highlighted 43 new police hires during her State of the City address Wednesday, but many wonder if the department's actually growing given past shortages. So let's verify. Has the Warner Robins Police Department grown under Mayor Patrick's administration? Our sources are Police Chief Wayne Fisher and the city's end-of-year staffing report from 2024. In 2022, Chief Fisher reports the department was short 42 officers with 36 vacancies in patrol alone. This month, he reports that number dropped to just 14 total vacancies among officers and investigators. The staffing report confirms this improvement. It says they cut patrol shortages from 22 to 8 positions at the end of 2024.
And when I reflect back to October 22, that we were sitting roughly around 42 short, 36 would have been what people were seeing on patrol. What I can tell you as of the March 3rd staffing reports, we are 11 officers short.
According to Fisher, not everyone who's hired will actually become a uniformed officer. During training, they may decide that the career isn't right for them, but Fisher says the department is still seeing results. The staffing report also shows that 10 additional cadets were in training at year's end, and the department's formed a new special tasking group due to improved staffing levels. So we can verify, yes, the Warner Robins Police Department has grown under Mayor Patrick's administration. While not every new hire completed training, the reduction in vacancies confirm the growth. With your Verify, I'm Hunter King.
Now, Chief Fisher says these staffing improvements allowed his department to be more proactive in crime prevention. The city also reorganized the department, establishing some new units. With more officers set to complete training soon, the city hopes the department will continue closing the remaining gap. Now, if you have something you want verified, you can reach out to us on Facebook, X, or send an email to news@13wmaz.com. And dozens of people gathered in Warner Robins Thursday night to ask local leaders questions about federal job cuts and programs.
People are concerned. I know that people here are concerned. People all across the 2nd Congressional District, all across the state, and all across America are concerned.
The American Federation of Government Employees Local 987 group hosted the town hall. Congressman Sanford Bishop, who you just heard from, represents the 2nd District. He criticized the recent proposed bill that would cut billions of dollars from Medicaid. He also highlighted the importance of education and federal support for rural communities in Georgia. Terry Adams is a retired teacher who says she's worried about the decision to dismantle the Department of Education.
I'm scared for my students. I'm really scared for the students because I know what Title I schools, I know what they're lacking now, and if they cut $2.2 billion from them, these schools are going to shatter.
Now, Representative Austin Scott was also invited to the meeting. He represents District 8. However, he did not show up. And Warner Robins Parks and Rec Department has a new name and a new leader. Council approved Preston Pooser to the position. He has over 24 years of experience as a Parks and Rec director. I've got the story on why leaders say they're hitting a home run with the new pick. When you're applying for a job or trying out for a sports team,
he's the full package. And I'm very excited. We are very fortunate to have a man like this.
These are the words you hope to hear as Preston Pooser gears up to take over the Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Services Department. Councilman Kevin Lashley says they can trust him to step up to bat.
He's created all kinds of interaction between the community and the Parks Department and community outreach, everything.
Pooser comes from Ocala, Florida.
All the things we have on our list of things to do, he's done it.
Mayor LaRhonda Patrick lays out his stats.
When it comes to golf course, he's managed those. When it comes to swimming, he's done a whole natatorium.
Plus, he oversaw a 7,500-seat amphitheater project in Woodstock, bringing live entertainment to a different part of Georgia, and leaders hope to Warner Robins too.
People will drive 30, 40 minutes to 2 hours to go to another place that we can build here. That's what I would love to see. I want to see everything being locked down in this town.
As the city looks to grow its recreational tourism, they say Pooser knows all about bringing tournaments to town, and he plans to support more than basketball, baseball, and football.
He is very big on opening all the doors for all different kinds of sports and activities to all children.
This comes about a month after former director Jared Renault agreed to part ways with the city.
We miss him. We'd never had any bad blood with him, but the city just had to make a decision to do some things differently.
But Patrick says Renault gave a strong lead for Pooser to make some big plays. In Warner Robins, Megan Western, 13 WMAZ News. Now, we also learned the fate of a Warner Robins lounge at that council meeting. Council voted to temporarily suspend the liquor license at Good Times. The owner told council a mix-up with paperwork led to him getting a cease and desist from the Department of Revenue. His license will be temporarily suspended until he gets state paperwork in order. And as we step into the spring, there are even more reasons to get outside, but unfortunately, our allergy symptoms may get worse. Now, because of warmer winters, the South sees the worst of pollen season. Some even call this the pollen belt. Now, we spoke with a doctor at Houston Healthcare, and he says aside from pollen, dust mites or animal dander will also trigger your sneezing, itching, and watery eyes this season, which can stir up some other problems.
You see it commonly associated or triggering or exacerbating other conditions like asthma. So we told them to take antihistamines, intranasal steroids, and that usually works for them. But prevention is always better than cure.
Now, the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America says over 100 million people in the U.S. suffer with allergies and asthma. Over-the-counter medicines like Claritin and Zyrtec can help reduce those allergies. You also heard the doctor recommend nasal steroid inhalers. He says it's also important to keep a clean home. You know, you're going to want to keep your carpets clean and minimize your time around pets if you can. On high pollen count days, try staying indoors, but if you do have to go outside, experts recommend wearing a mask. Also this week, Warner Robins leaders unveiled the music lineup for this year's Independence Day concert. Sheila E., or the Queen of Percussion, will headline the annual event at McConnell Talbert Stadium. And shaking things up at the beginning of the night, a Taylor Swift tribute band called Reputation. Now, the celebration also features food vendors, activities, and of course the fireworks show. Councilman Derek Mack says the 42nd annual event offers entertainment for people who love all genres.
We always think about every genre of music and every citizen in our city. That's why we're called the International City. So we want to try to represent all those folks that live here and call this place home.
Okay, so go ahead and mark your calendars. You can watch the fireworks and the live show Saturday, June the 28th. In more news out of the International City, people got a better look at the future downtown space of Commercial Circle. UGA's Carl Vinson Institute of Government shared drawings they've worked on from Watson Boulevard to Market Street. They shared a new pedestrian-friendly layout. They also hope to fill in the area with more buildings and a retention pond near the water tower. Each building has a modern look, but leaders are most excited about changing the opportunity to walk around.
It's more about cars, getting traffic in and out. So the walkability is going to slow the traffic down. It's going to make it safer, in my personal opinion. And it's just more social. You know, that social connection that we are looking for.
Now you can see those renderings right now at City Hall. They're also posted on boards around Commercial Circle. If you scan the QR code that's in the corner of those renderings, you can give the city your feedback. And the city is moving forward with their plans to bring this downtown space. On March 25th, the city will demolish a vacant building on South Davis Drive. It'll be the 6th building demolition as part of their Operation Reawaken. City officials say the goal is to clear space for future shops, restaurants, and green space. And Perry is taking a new approach to ensure access to green space too. City council members adopted an amendment requiring developers to build parks in new neighborhoods. As Hunter King shows us, people are welcoming the new change. Getting in the car and driving off isn't a luxury that everyone in Houston County has, but a car is the main mode of transportation. As the community grows, you'll find more people in cars across Warner Robins, Perry, Centerville, or within the county limits. And leaders are still finding ways to accommodate the growth through public transportation.
My family moved to Warner Robins back in 1988, and since that time to now, no public transportation.
While small companies and churches may offer rides, no city in Houston County actually offers the service.
It's big enough that you would think that they would have, some type of public transportation.
Leaders are steering conversations for solutions, but they could be years away.
So, for example, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan that's currently being worked on looks towards 2050 for future transportation needs throughout Houston County and Peach County.
Greg Boyke with the Middle Georgia Regional Commission says their group just approved a GDOT transit development plan that considers all of Central Georgia.
To identify ways that we can continue to have more efficient transit services and more accessible services.
In early March, Perry Council leaders discussed the possibility of microtransit. It would run kind of similar to a rideshare where you schedule pickup in advance.
That would definitely be beneficial to the city.
A Friday night lift from downtown Perry to the courthouse costs you nearly $40. This service is proposed to cost you less than $10, but during the session, leaders worried about the costs, funding, and liability.
Let's hope that they actually work together and get some type of public transportation going so that way people can get to court and get to where they need to be.
Leaders didn't vote towards the project, but they are continuing to do their research. Now, the story you just saw is actually one that I brought you. It's how Perry leaders and also leaders across Houston County are working to bring public transportation. But right now, more than 1,700 Houston County students have military parents. This week, the state honored 4 schools for how they care for these families and their children. Ellie Milliken spoke to some families about how their school makes the changes of being a military brat a little easier.
I don't know. I've been telling him about
In 2 weeks. He's leaving in 2 weeks.
Daughter Alana DeClette will be without her father in 2 weeks. He has served in the Air Force almost 20 years, and mother Jessica DeClette says every time he leaves, it never gets easier.
But yeah, you can tell that she's missing daddy, and sometimes when she talked to him, you can see her face when he hung up, like, I miss my dad. But yeah, it is hard for her.
That's why she says it's crucial having schools like David Perdue Primary that support military children and give them an outlet.
My dad he's gonna have to about to leave.
When my husband was deployed, they had activity for them, and they had these amazing ways that they can have my husband on the computers or iPad.
DeClette says Alana's principal, Kathy Gibbs, makes sure to love these children well. Today, her daughter was asked to say the pledge, and her dad was able to be there.
She grew up as a military kid, so she moved around.
Gibbs says supporting these children is her main focus. She's created clubs and an environment for military families and children to adjust.
When I became a principal of a school, I set out with a vision to make sure I cared for our military community.
She also says she tries to make every child a leader.
And like the little one, Alana DeClette, that gave the pledge, she's a leader in my building, and she knows, hey, I can come to school, I'm going to be cared for.
In Houston County, Ellie Milliken, 13 WMAZ News.
Now, the state school superintendent Richard Woods presented the 2025 Military Flagship Awards. Pearl Stevens Elementary, Perry High School, Quail Run Elementary, and David Perdue Primary Schools all walked away with awards. And over the weekend, over 300 people gathered in Warner Robins to support animals in need of a home, all while learning more about some popular modes of transportation. Kids climbed about a dozen trucks and talked over the PA systems. The event had everything from fire trucks to antique cars, even lawnmowers. Critical Care for Animal Angels Dog Rescue has 45 dogs available for adoption, but before they could go home with the family, they need medical treatment. The event raised money to pay for the animals' medication, treatment, and medical bills, and at the same time, it taught kids different types of rides.
Everybody's so friendly and welcoming. The drivers of all the trucks share so much information with the kids. They put them right in the driver's seat. They let them honk the horns and, turn the cement mixer and all that.
Now, several families actually adopted animals over the weekend. Organizers told us this is the second year they held the Touch a Truck fundraiser. Now, that's a wrap on what's happening throughout the Robbins region this week. If you have a Houston County story that you want us to share, you can email us at news@13wmaz.com, and make sure you come back every Friday to get all of your Houston County news and stories that matter to you. Thanks for joining us.